We had another great question come in. The viewer is asking whether it's worth rotating outer plants that are getting less PPFD with the ones in the center. Short answer, yes, it's worth it. If there's a real PPFD difference between your center and your edges and you're not correcting for it some other way, rotating is one of the simplest things you can do to keep your canopy developing evenly. Here's the thing, most grow lights have a hot spot. The center of the coverage area typically gets the highest intensity, and as you move toward the edges, that number drops off. How much it drops depends on the fixture, the reflector design, the mounting height, all of that. But in a lot of setups, that difference is real and it shows up in your plants. What you'll usually see is that the outer plants are a bit shorter, a bit slower to develop, sometimes lighter in color. They're not getting the same signal to push as hard. It's not that they're unhealthy necessarily, they're just working with less energy. And over time, that gap compounds. By the time you're deep into flower, those edge plants can be noticeably behind the ones that sat under the center the whole run. Rotating evens that out. You're essentially giving every plant a turn in the better real estate. It does take some effort. You're moving pots around. You might be dealing with trellising or training that makes it a little awkward. But for a lot of growers, especially those running smaller tents or single light setups, it's absolutely worth the time. Now, how often should you rotate? That depends on how significant the PPFD difference actually is. If you've mapped your canopy with a meter and you've got a modest variation, say the edges are running maybe 10 or 15% lower, rotating once during the run might be enough. If the drop is steeper than that, rotating more frequently makes more sense. Every week or two during the stretch phase is a reasonable rhythm for setups with a pronounced hotspot. What most people don't realize is that you don't have to do a full shuffle every time. Even just swapping the four corner plants with the ones closest to center can make a meaningful difference. You don't need a perfect rotation matrix. You just need to prevent any one plant from spending the entire run in the worst spot. There's another option worth knowing about too. Sometimes the better fix is adjusting your light height or spreading multiple fixtures rather than rotating plants. If you haven't dialed in your mounting height or overlap, that's worth looking at before you commit to rotating as a permanent routine. A better light spread might reduce the PPFD gap enough that rotation becomes less critical. But if you're working with what you have and the spread isn't changing, rotating is a legitimate low-cost solution that growers have been using for a long time. It works. Your plants will grow more evenly, your canopy will be easier to manage, and you won't end up harvesting a row of underdeveloped plants just because they drew the short straw on positioning. It's one of those things that feels almost too simple, but the results are real.